Namaste students. I am JVN Dr. Aziz Mohammed Khan from Department of Food and Biotechnology, Faculty of Agriculture and Veterinary Science, Jyoti Vidyapeeth Women's University, Jaipur. Today I am going to discuss about the topic removal of extracellular products. So there are two types of products inside the cellular debris. First one is extracellular materials and the another one are intracellular material. So, in this lecture, we are going to discuss about the separation of the extracellular materials. So, some products which are obtained after fermentation are some cells such as the yeast, bacteria, fungi. Okay, so these are the products, but cells itself and some biofertilizers. Second one is extracellular types such as the antibiotics, alcohol. Okay, so these are the products which are isolated. And the third type of product are the intracellular type, such as the enzymes, vitamins. So these are the intracellular type of products. Now, what are the methods to separate the extracellular materials? In for the separation of the extracellular material, the product which is present in the fermented broth should be removed. Microbial cells and insoluble particles are separated from the harvested broth first, then they are separated. The extracellular material are separated. So the techniques which include for the separation of the extracellular materials are uh, precipitation, filtration, and the centrifugation. First is precipitation. What is the precipitation? We have already discussed it. Precipitation is the formation of a solid or a solid formation of a solid in a solution. Means they are a different. They are in different phases. Solid form is called the precipitate, and uh, the liquid remaining above is known as the supernatant. So suppose that there is a tube. Okay, in the tube there are some extracellular material. So how we can separate them? In this tube there is a suspension solution, and in that suspension solution there are some solid particles. So we need to separate these solid particles, so we add some precipitant. These precipitant will allow the solid particles to get precipitated. So the solid particle will settle down on the bottom of the tube, and the remaining part will be on the upper side, that is known as the supernatant. So we can separate. So how the precipitation can be conducted? The precipitation is conducted in two ways. The first is the salt precipitation, and the second one is the solvent precipitation. What is the salt precipitation? When addition of salt will cause removal of the water molecules from the surface of the protein. It is known as the salt precipitation. So all the hydrophobic end of the product are exposed, which causes aggregation of the product. Means the products are added with the salts, which cause aggregation of the products, and which will allow the solid part to get adhere in one place, and they will be separated on the precipitate. So the salting is conducted in two ways: salting in and salting out. Salting in is conducted at a low concentration of the salt, and the solubility of the precipitant increases. And salting out is conducted at high concentration of the salts, where the solubility of the precipitant decreases. The solvent precipitation, salt precipitation is complete. Next is solvent precipitation. With the help of some organic solvent which target the specific product, precipitation of the product is achieved. We add some solvent which target some specific product. They will dissolve some specific product. Okay, so they will be separated and they will be separated by the precipitate formation. The example includes the dextran. Okay, dextran can be precipitated by the addition of the methanol. Okay, so this when the methanol will be added, this will allow the dextran to get converted into the solid and it will be precipitated. Similarly, chilled ethanol and the acetone are also used and they are used for the separation of the proteins. So they will precipitate the protein molecules and they will allow the proteins to get precipitated. Some another type of precipitation can also be used, such as the acid and bases, which are used to change the pH of the solution. When they change the pH until the isoelectric point is reached. Similarly, salts such as the ammonium sulfate, sodium sulfate are also added as a precipitant. Some non-ionic polymers such as polyethylene glycol are also added. Some protein binding dyes such as triazine dyes are also added for the precipitation. Some affinity precipitant that will bind to any particular molecule, they will also precipitate some proteins. Now filtration. Filtration is a next method. Filtration is a mechanical operation which is used for the separation of the solids from fluids such as liquid or solid. Okay, liquid or gases. And the metals are separated by interposing a medium to flow through the which the fluid can pass, but the solid in the fluid are retained. So gas and the liquid will pass and the solid will be retained. Solid will be on the upside position. So they will be separated. The factors which influence the filtration is the size and shape of the particles. Okay, larger particles will be separated easily. Smaller particles will be separated with hard, and they need lower pore size molecules. Then the next is solid liquid ratio. The ratio of the liquid and solid should be changed. They must not be equal. They must not be 50-50%, and the amount of solid must be lower. The scale of operation is also important. How we are going to conduct the experiment and how what are the materials, what are the membranes which we are utilizing, and similarly some aseptic conditions are also important. Now centrifugation. Centrifugation is also important technique for the separation of the extracellular product. We use the centrifugal force for the separation of the mixtures. More dense components will migrate away from the axis of the centrifuge, and the less dense component will migrate towards the axis. So when centrifugation is conducted, the material with uh, larger size, have which are solid and which have different sedimentation rate and different size, they will be separated on the basis of their gravitational force. For example, in the milk, the fat is separated because the fat has large size, and the water has a lower size, so they are separated from milk and the cream. Next technique is the flocculation. Flocculation is a technique where solute comes out of a solution in the form of the flocks of flakes. A particles finer than the 0.1 micrometer in water remain continuously in the motion due to electrostatic change, which causes them to repel each other. Once the electrostatic charge is neutralized, the finer particle will start to collide and combine together, and the larger and heavier particle will be called as the flocks. Because when we apply a charge, electric charge, and when electric charge has been completed, okay, when we stop this electric charge, there's um, smaller particles, okay, and lower particles will repel each other, okay, and when the isoelectric point is reached, okay, then they are neutralized, then the smaller particle will collide each other. The remaining particle which will not collide each other are the larger particles, and they will be separated. So they are also known as the larger particles are also known as flocks or flakes, which will be easily separated. So I hope that it is a informative lesson. And I hope that students will better understand about the separation of the extracellular material from the downstream processing. So, what kind of questions which can be asked in this lecture? The questions which can be asked include explain various types of techniques which are used in the separation of the extracellular materials from the downstream processing, and what are the methods which are used. Explain precipitation, explain filtration, explain centrifugation. They can also be asked in this lecture. So my lesson lecture is over here. So if you have any questions, you can ask me. Thank you very much.